This is the Yay or Nay Show with Alex C. A sports show for sports fans by a sports fan. And now, here is Alex C.
All right, here we go. It is the Yay or Nay Show with Alex C., a sports show for sports fan by a sports fan. Again, big thanks to everybody who supports the show. We are now consistently and constantly ranked in the top 200. We appreciate your support. But today's kind of a weird day, right? I'm starting my podcast kind of crazy, kind of late. Long story, don't have time to get into all that. However, with that being said, I am going over to where the poll questions are right now to give you results from some of the poll questions that have recently come back. And of course, as I do so, my poll results seem to be missing. However, it's okay. I know where to find them. Here we go. So a couple of questions have come back. Lots of discussion, obviously, about Deshaun Watson. We all know about that. And one of the questions that I asked was, do you think Deshaun Watson should sue the women who have filed charges against him since the grand jury is not filing criminal charges against him? Now, we all know the story, right? Obviously, there were a lot of people that were making a lot of comments about, the women and Deshaun Watson. He should sue them. They believe the fact that he doesn't have criminal charges being filed against him, that basically exonerates him. And so with that being said, if in fact you believe, and that's the key, right? If in fact you believe that Deshaun Watson is now exonerated because of what has taken place in regards to the fact that there will be no criminal charges filed against him, should he in fact, according to you, basically file defamation of character and slander and whatever other things they can make up against the 22 women that have made these allegations against Deshaun Watson. 59% of the people that voted said, yay, Deshaun Watson should sue the women who filed charges against him since the grand jury is not filing criminal charges against him. Look, again, I'm not an attorney. It is, let me put the disclaimer out there, not my place to tell you Deshaun Watson is guilty. It's not my place to tell you Deshaun Watson is not guilty. However, there is still a long ways to go in regards to the legal process. Just because there are no criminal charges being filed against them, you still have all the civil suits that are against them, 22 separate civil suits, might I add. I don't know that if I were Deshaun Watson, I would file a countersuit against women when all of the legalities have not been handled as of yet. But again, with that being said, that's just a thought, not telling anybody how to think. It's not my place to tell anybody how to think. But again, the question was, do you think Deshaun Watson should sue the women who have filed charges against him since the grand jury is not filing criminal charges against him? 59% of the people voted yay. I am in the court of undecided. Okay, now, a lot of talk going on in regards to Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson. It all started with a story here in the 602. Local media was basically speculating, saying that the Cardinals should make a swap, Kyler Murray to Arizona and Kyler Murray to Houston, Deshaun Watson to Arizona. And I thought, well, that'd be a cool poll question. Let's find out what people think. So the question again, obviously, is should the Arizona Cardinals swap Kyler Murray for Deshaun Watson? 70% of the people that voted, and might I add, I'm very, very surprised by the results. 70% of the people that voted said, nay, the Arizona Cardinals should not swap Kyler Murray for Deshaun Watson. Now, I'm a little surprised. Again, reason being is, how can you possibly say that you would not want to replace a immature Kyler Murray and an inferior ability Kyler Murray with a superior athlete in Deshaun Watson, and he's a lot more mature? Again, I don't get it, but 70% of the people that voted said no, they would not want that swap made. Here's another question that just came back now, so we might as well just do it now since this is the last day of the week for the podcast. Is Baker Mayfield done playing for the Cleveland Browns? Now, we all know he put out the tweet. It was basically a goodbye. Lots of people had different thoughts and philosophies in regards to whether it was a good idea for him to write the tweet. Was it in bad taste? Was it a bad idea? Is he being immature? Is he being a big baby? That's a discussion I guess we can get into right after we get the answer to this question. But is Baker Mayfield done playing for the Cleveland Browns? 80% of the people that voted said, yay, Baker Mayfield is done playing for the Cleveland Browns. Now, here's the deal. again, a lot of people had a lot of things to say about this. They were talking about, is he being immature? Is he acting like a baby? Did the Cleveland Browns handle the whole situation bad? Because, again, keep in mind, they brought in Deshaun Watson, and they brought in Deshaun Watson for the purpose of what? Well, the purpose for seeing if he could, in fact, be the replacement for Baker Mayfield. Now, we do know officially they did make an offer to the Houston Texans. There is a process that's going on. It's all in the camp of Deshaun Watson. Ultimately, he's going to decide where he goes, when he goes, and so on and so forth, because there is a no-trade clause in the contract for Deshaun Watson, which only he can eliminate from his contract and say, I'll take a trade. But, of course, Houston's going to want to be compensated for that trade, right? When you're giving up a commodity like Deshaun Watson, despite the fact that obviously he's going to have to face some kind of disciplinary action, which is a whole different conversation. Maybe we'll have that today. Maybe we won't, but we definitely will in a future podcast if we don't today have that conversation, because there is a lot to be said there in regards to that particular topic. But with that being said, the bottom line is that when you are looking at the way that this was handled, ultimately there's a lot of different ways you could look at it. Number one is they should have went to Baker and said, look, I get it. You're Baker Mayfield. I get it. You got a lot of confidence in yourself. I understand that. I can appreciate that. I would want nothing less than for you to have that confidence in yourself, especially if you're going to be the starting quarterback for our organization. However, even with the confidence that you hold within yourself, keep in mind, we're talking about Deshaun Watson, a proven commodity. You still have question marks. You still have a lot of room to grow. We want you to grow. We want you to be successful. We want you to be good, whether it's here in Cleveland or whether it's with another organization. We wish you nothing but the best. But I, as a general manager, would not be doing my job, would not be doing my diligence if I do not investigate the opportunity to get Deshaun Watson to be the quarterback for our franchise, as, keep in mind, other teams are doing, even with other proven quarterbacks like, for instance, the Atlanta Falcons and Matt Ryan. So that conversation obviously didn't take place. They go through the interview process. Again, they made an official offer, and Baker Mayfield's a little upset. He has no control over it. Obviously, the team gets to do what the team wants to do. Baker gets no say-so in the matter. Now, basically, it's a waiting game for Baker. And here's the thing, though. So the conversation turns a little bit, right? So if Deshaun Watson does not go to Cleveland, then you have the situation where Cleveland is now left with the starting quarterback that they already had, which is Baker Mayfield. And for a lack of a better term, he's a little butthurt, right? Obviously, he's a little butthurt. And in reality, in retrospect, he has every right to be butthurt in regards to the process, how it went down, how it's taken place. He feels a little disrespected. He feels like he deserved a little more respect than what he got from the organization in regards to how they handled it. But again, I alluded to it earlier. The organization has every right and really would have been irresponsible if they would not have investigated the opportunity to get Deshaun Watson. So really, the way this plays out to me is I think people will see this one of two ways. And it really is going to boil down to one of two, maybe three things. Number one is, do you believe Baker Mayfield should stay the starting quarterback for your Cleveland Browns? Number two is, are you in favor of the Cleveland Browns moving off of Baker Mayfield? Number three, do you believe it would be in the best interest of the Cleveland Browns to get Deshaun Watson to replace Baker Mayfield? Now, depending on where you fall in either one of those three categories really is going to dictate and determine how you feel about how the situation was taken care of. Because again, you're either a fan of Deshaun Watson and you would want him to replace Baker Mayfield. You're either a fan of Baker Mayfield and you don't want him to go anywhere. You think he's given you everything he has and you should stay loyal to him. Or three, you think that it's time, whether it's Deshaun Watson or somebody else, for the organization to move off of Baker Mayfield altogether, irregardless of whether they get Deshaun Watson or not. One of those three scenarios is going to dictate how you think about it. Again, keep in mind, because I'm talking about from a fan perspective. Again, I'm not like sports shows that talk only to general managers and owners and coaches and players. Those guys talk to everybody but the fans, which is why, again, I've said this once and I'll say it probably a million times, which is why I think for the most part, predominantly, most sports radio does not get listened to, and they do not get ratings. Keep in mind, I'm in radio. That's my background. It's what I've been doing since 18 years of age. I see ratings all the time, and sports radio does not get very good, and in some markets don't get any ratings a lot of months throughout the year. And I think the reason is because they don't speak to the fans. They speak to the general managers, the coaches, other players, and, the Players Association. But they don't speak to the fans. They speak to everybody but the fans. They speak at you. They don't speak to you. The idea of this show is to speak to the fans. I'm a sports fan doing a sports show for sports fans. So with that being said, I think because of that fact, these guys are detached and they just don't get it. That's my point. So I would say 2/3 of the people are probably in favor, again, whether it's Deshaun Watson or whether it's just the Cleveland Browns moving off of Baker Mayfield. I think 2/3 of the people would be more than satisfied with the Cleveland Browns making a move away from Baker Mayfield. I don't think 2/3 of the people, fan-wise, are going to feel bad for Baker Mayfield because he's had his time, he's had his turn, it didn't work out, and it is what it is. Because, again, he had a shot, he has opportunity, and it didn't work out. And as you can see by the voting here, 80% of the people that voted said Baker's done. And again, I would argue that it's because 2/3 of the people fall into two of those three scenarios that I just laid out for you right now. Okay, now, with that being said, we're going to flip-flop a little bit. Let's jump over to Major League Baseball. Let's talk about that. So, obviously, spring training started today. And with that being said, Major League Baseball has scheduled 30, I repeat, 30 additional double headers. They plan to end the regular season on October the 5th. So, Major League Baseball has scheduled 30 additional double headers to make up some 91 postponed games by the lockout that delayed opening day until April 7th, okay? Now, MLB released a revised schedule yesterday, and it extended the last day of the regular season by 3 days only to October 5th. The opening game of the season will be the New York Yankees hosting the Boston Red Sox. Big shock at 1:05 Eastern Time. First matchup of the rivals to begin a big league schedule since 2005. 5 games were rescheduled for Thursday, July 21st, the second day after the All-Star game, doubleheaders with the Yankees at Houston and Detroit at Oakland, plus a single game with Texas at Miami, joined San Francisco at the Dodgers, the only game on the original schedule announced last August. Bottom line is, because I could go in depth with this, but there's really no reason to, just check your local listings, check out your local team's schedule, because the bottom line is there are a lot of makeup games to be made, and you're going to see 30 additional doubleheaders. And I knew this was going to happen. They kind of announced it. They didn't give us a number, but they did say they were going to have to go through a lot of doubleheaders in order to be able to make this season work. Now, sticking with Major League Baseball for a minute, the Colorado Rockies, Chris Bryant, they reach a 7-year, $182 million deal. So third baseman Chris Bryant and the Colorado Rockies, they're in agreement on a 7-year, $182 million contract. Now, Bryant is headed to his third team in 8 months after spending his first 6 major league seasons with the Chicago Cubs, who traded him to the San Francisco Giants last July. He got off to a hot start with the Cubs, but cooled off some after the trade, slashing a .265, .353, .481 between the two teams. And the 2016 National League MVP and World Series champion had a combined 25 homers and 73 RBIs last season, and he pounded out 8 hits in the Giants' 5-game playoff loss to the LA Dodgers. Despite a midseason slump that precipitated the trade, Bryant earned his 4th career All-Star selection during a solid rebound from a rough 2020 season in which he struggled at the plate and with injuries. So again, the news is the Colorado Rockies and Chris Bryant reach a 7-year, $182 million deal. Said it once, said it twice, I'll say it a million times. Must be nice. Now, here's a story flipping over to the NBA really quickly. That's going to be a big one. Now, let me read through this, and then I'll tell you what I think the outcome is actually going to be in regards to this particular situation. Steph Curry is out, and he's ruled out of the second half of last night's game which was a 110-88 loss to the Boston Celtics due to a left foot soreness. Now, he underwent an MRI immediately after the game and asked about his level of concern surrounding Curry's foot. Warriors coach Steve Kerr said, "We'll know after an MRI." And again, he had the MRI already. It's already been concluded. Now, Curry injured his foot at the 4:17 mark of the second quarter when his leg got rolled on by the Celtics' Marcus Smart as the two wrestled for a loose ball. Kerr was shown yelling at Smart after the play. "I thought it was a dangerous play," Kerr said. "I thought Marcus dove into Steph, and that's what I was upset about. A lot of respect for Marcus. He's a hell of a player, a gamer, a competitor. I coached him in the World Cup a few summers ago. We talked after the game, and we're good, but I thought it was a dangerous play." Smart explained that he didn't see Curry and was just going after the ball. "I saw the ball. I dove for the ball, trying to make a play," Smart said. "Unfortunately, that occurred." He added, "I'm sure I'm going to get called dirty, but I know who I am. I play very hard, and I leave everything on the court. My teammates, my colleagues, they know I'm not a dirty player." After getting up, Curry tried to walk off the pain. He then was looked at on the bench during the ensuing timeout, but instead of returning to the court, he jogged back to the locker room. Now, I have recently seen a report that they do expect Steph Curry back prior to the playoffs, just prior to the playoffs, so it looks like he's going to be okay. That's the good news. The bad news is Golden State can't do anything without him, and let's be honest, they're having a tough time even with him in the lineup. They just had Draymond Green out for injuries. Now they get Draymond Green back. Now, as soon as you get Draymond Green back, Steph Curry goes out. This is going to be pretty big, pretty bad. And I think, in all honesty, it's a precursor to the end of the Golden State Warriors season. I just don't see Golden State being able to do anything in the postseason. If you're going to be looking at anybody to compete in the West against the Suns, it's going to be the Nuggets and it's going to be the Jazz. And in all honesty, I think that's it. I think those are the only two teams who are going to have a shot at competing. Staying with the NBA, this is an interesting story. I didn't see this one coming. Former longtime Dallas Mavericks general manager Donnie Nelson sued the team today, alleging that owner Mark Cuban fired him last summer as retaliation for reporting that Cuban's chief of staff sexually harassed and sexually assaulted his nephew during a job interview in 2020. The lawsuit also alleges that Cuban offered Nelson, who was fired in June, $52 million to withdraw a wrongful termination claim and sign a confidentiality statement related to the alleged harassment and abuse of his nephew. Nelson, in his lawsuit filed in Dallas court on today, says that Jason Luton, described in the lawsuit as Cuban's right-hand man and who still works for the team, assaulted and harassed his nephew in a hotel room during the 2020 All-Star Weekend in Chicago. The nephew, a man in his 20s who was not identified in the lawsuit, had been invited by Luton to his hotel room, the lawsuit claims. Cuban denied Nelson's allegations in an email to the four-letter network. "Everything in that filing is a lie," Cuban wrote. "We did multiple complete investigations, and the only person that did not live up to the standards of the Dallas Mavericks was Mr. Nelson. He was fired as a result. He was well aware of the investigation. He refused to fully participate. I will say it again. Everything he said is a lie." Luton also denied the allegations in an email to the four-letter network and said, "What this man, Nelson, is doing to someone like me is absolutely unspeakable." Okay, again, I've said it once, I've said it a million times. It is not my place to pass judgment. I am not qualified to do so, and I'm not going to attempt to do so. Here's what I will say, though, and I'm going to throw this out there as an if. If Mark Cuban is found to be negligent in his investigation, and if he is found to be wrong, or if it is true that he tried to cover this up by giving him $52 million to withdraw a wrongful termination claim and sign a confidentiality statement, and the reason why he did that is because there is actually truth to this allegation, Mark Cuban, much like I said about Jerry Jones, needs to suffer some serious, and I mean very serious, repercussions. Okay? Again, because we live in a different world now, and you got to stop the people who have the money from being able to make these egregious actions act as if it's no big deal. I'm just saying. So again, my statement is, if Mark Cuban is found to have done a bad job in the investigation, to botch it up, or if he's trying to cover it up with the $50 million that he offered to withdraw the wrongful termination claim and sign a confidentiality statement because there is merit to the accusations, Mark Cuban himself, again, needs to face severe reprimands. Without a doubt. There's no doubt in my mind in any way, shape, or form. All right, let's flip over to the NFL really quickly. Some movement today in regards to some of the trades. So let's talk about what's going on. Sources confirm that defensive tackle Michael Pierce is returning to the Ravens. Pierce, a 3-year starter for the Ravens from 2017 to 2019, started last season for the Vikings, but he is now returning to the Ravens. The Cardinals re-signed Aaron Brewer and agreed to terms with punter Andy Lee today. There was a question about whether Andy Lee was going to remain with the Cardinals. Now that has been answered. The Atlanta Falcons have confirmed that they have agreed to terms with running back Damien Williams. So a change in the team's running back room. The Dallas Cowboys have reached an agreement on a 2-year deal for $13 million with defensive end Dorrance Armstrong. The Cincinnati Bengals and Eli Apple have come to terms. It's a 1-year, $4 million deal. And then the Carolina Panthers reach an agreement with former Jaguars linebacker Damien Wilson. It's a 2-year deal. It does not give terms in regards to what the monetary involvement is, but it is a 2-year deal. The Miami Dolphins are bringing back linebacker Scarlett. So Brennan Scarlett is now going to remain with the Miami Dolphins. The Philadelphia Eagles are releasing 6-time Pro Bowl defensive tackle Fletcher Cox, but hope to re-sign him on a reworked contract. Very smart move. Trying to obviously make some room in regards to the salary cap, so a very smart move. The New York Giants have released veteran safety Logan Ryan. The team announced it today. The move saves the Giants a little less than $800,000 against the salary cap. The Los Angeles Rams and wide receiver Allen Robinson have agreed to a 3-year, $45 million deal that includes $30 million guaranteed. And here we go. Going back to what we were talking about earlier, the Cleveland Browns. Are you ready for this one? This one's just coming across right now. Baker Mayfield has requested a trade from the Cleveland Browns. Yes, you heard me. Cleveland Browns got some drama. Baker Mayfield has requested a trade from the Cleveland Browns. It is in the best interest of both sides for Cleveland to split with the star quarterback. It's in the mutual interest of both sides. That's what Baker Mayfield told the 4-letter network. There won't be a reunion between outside linebacker Zadarius Smith and Baltimore Ravens after all. Smith became the latest NFL player to back out of an agreement on Thursday when he decided not to sign a 4-year, $35 million deal with the Baltimore Ravens. The Bengals have signed tight end Hayden Hurst to a 1-year deal. Offensive tackle Elijah Wilkinson announced he is signing with the Atlanta Falcons. Wilkinson was in Chicago last year, and he is now going to be signing with the Atlanta Falcons. The Patriots have a – wait, where'd it go here? Again, I'm running into a fast and fluid moving room in here. Hang on a second. Let me get back to where I were. The Patriots. There it is. All right, so the Patriots have agreed to a 2-year deal with Ty Montgomery. The 49ers make a signing today. Linebacker Burks, but the details are not in here. The Dallas Cowboys, after no success in finding a suitable trade, the Cowboys have decided to release right tackle Lael Collins and designated it a post-June 1 move, according to sources. The move will save the Cowboys $10 million, which will come off the books in June. Quarterback Allen to re-sign with the Bengals. Quarterback Blau re-signing with the Detroit Lions. Cornerback Hayward Jr. is going to sign with the Falcons. Casey Hayward to the Falcons. Let's see. The Raiders, by the way, were in the mix for him. I know you probably heard a little bit about that, but he did decide to go with the Falcons after all. The Buffalo Bills released wide receiver Cole Beasley on Thursday. We knew that was going to happen. Cole Beasley wanted out, so they decided they were going to shop him. They released him. The team announced it. The Bills had granted Beasley permission to seek a trade in early March, with the wide receiver set to account for $7.6 million in the cap. So again, Beasley, it is now official, will be leaving. And that is interesting because I wonder where he's going to end up. That's the question for me. Steelers released their linebacker Schobert, and the Cleveland Browns were informed today that they are no longer in the running to land Deshaun Watson in a trade with the Houston Texans. I'm a little shocked. I thought they would be one of the finalists in that deal, to be honest. Cowboys are close to a deal with defensive end Armstrong. The Washington Commanders filled a hole at guard, agreeing to terms with free agent Andrew Norwell today, according to a source close to the situation. The Packers restructure their deal with wide receiver Cobb. So that's interesting news. Then now I'm looking at a bunch of stuff where there's just a bunch of information missing. But unfortunately, we'll get to it when the information comes in. But in regards to the Cobb, it looks like it's a $10.55 million, $10.15 million deal. Randall Cobb, it is creating $10.15 million in cap space to get them under the salary cap. Sorry about that. Again, this thing is moving kind of quick. It's kind of fluid. But the Packers restructured the contract for Randall Cobb and safety Adrian Amos, creating $10.15 million in cap space. And the Saints have restructured the contracts on quarterback Taysom Hill, cornerback Bradley Roby, linebacker DeMario Davis, and safety Malcolm Jenkins to clear up major cap space. The Saints are now officially at $29.9 million in cap space. And the Packers gave new punter Pat O'Donnell a 2-year, $4 million contract that includes $950,000 roster bonus and a total guarantee of $1.6 million. And the Jets are signing former Texans defensive end Jacob Martin to a 3-year deal worth up to $15.5 million. The 26-year-old had 4 sacks for Houston last season. So that pretty much gets us up to par where we are right now. But again, big news. I did not see that coming. Baker Mayfield requesting a trade from the Cleveland Browns. I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought it would go down a little bit differently, but I am surprised. And I also am surprised that Deshaun Watson said that the Cleveland Browns are no longer in the running as far as obtaining his services this season. So, like I said, it's fluid, it's moving, it's constant. As it comes in, we'll let you know. Meanwhile, you guys enjoy your weekend. As you know, today is the last day of the week for my podcast. We will be back on Monday. You guys enjoy, again, your weekend. This is Your Nation with Alex C.